This is my Line 6 Helix Stomp I've had at my studio for a few months now, and there are 5 things that I like and don't like about this unit that I want to share with you so you can make an informed decision whether you want to get one or not. Let's go. Well, hello there, Vlad here. Welcome to my studio. And before we move on to the Helix Stomp, I just want to quickly mention that if you want to set up your home studio and start recording your own music, check out my free home studio setup course by following the link down below. But now to the Helix Stomp. So the first thing I love about Helix Stomp is the fact that it's super compact and super powerful. This thing over here can replace your pedal board and your amp, whether you play acoustic, electric or bass guitar. And even if you're using real amp, you can use the HX Stomp as your full pedal board, or you can integrate into your existing pedal board and have this kind of super powerful multi-effects unit. The HX Stomp is also a great backup / travel rig, and you can even use it as an audio interface. They've packed a lot of stuff into this. The compact size of the HX Stomp also brings me to the first thing I don't like about this unit, which is the tiny display and just having 3 foot switches. As you probably know, HX Stomp packs a crazy amount of amps, pedals, effects, stuff like that, and editing all of those and figuring out your signal chain on the small display is just something that I find slow and kind of slightly annoying to do. I also think having just 3 foot switches can be a bit limiting, especially when talking about live playing. And I've noticed a bunch of people getting like extra foot switches using the expression control on the device to be able to, for example, browse through preset banks and such. I'm definitely not saying either of those things are a deal breaker, but I think it's something that you should be aware of. The second thing I love about this unit is that a lot of the amps and the effects just sound really good. And because this is a digital unit, it allows us to create really cool and unique combinations. For example, here's a Vox AC30 into a Rev 4x12. With all the amps, cabs and effects in this unit, you can have almost infinite amount of different combinations and sounds, and for a lot of people that can be really exciting. This also brings me to the second thing I don't like about this unit. With so many options, I just find myself constantly tweaking, looking for that next amp or a pedal or an effect that could solve my tone issues. And it's not just the amount of different pieces of gear, it's also the options within those pieces of gear. Line 6 decided you need to be able to tweak everything, and I mean everything. You can adjust and tweak things that don't even exist on the real version of the amp, for example. The third thing that I like about this unit is that it's easy to use. When you take into account how small this thing is and how much you can do with it, I think Line 6 has done a really good job designing the user interface. There's definitely a learning curve with this unit, but once you get the hang of it, I think this unit is fairly easy to use. I personally think the bigger Helix units are leaps and bounds more user-friendly than this one with the bigger displays and everything, but I would still say that the user interface on the HX Stomp is well designed. And this brings me to the third thing I don't like about the Helix Stomp, and actually about the Helix range in general, and that's the fact that the HX Edit, the desktop editor of this thing, is just bad. While the HX Stomp itself is limited by its physical size and the amount of buttons and switches it can have, the desktop editor doesn't have those limitations, and that's why I find weird how bad it is. For example, recently I plugged in my HX Stomp into my computer, opened up HX Edit, and there was a notification that hey, you can download an update for your HX Stomp. Obviously I immediately clicked update, and I was presented with an error message saying that nope, you can download, there's some sort of error code, that's it. And I tried to troubleshoot powering the HX Stomp down and powering it up again, just closing and opening the HX Edit again, stuff like that, and nothing worked. Had to search online to find out that you need to manually go to Line 6's website, download the HX Edit update, and only installing that update allowed me to update the HX Stomp, and the software itself didn't present any kind of message about that. Just poor design, that's it. While I can understand they wanted to take the user interface from the Helix unit and just make a desktop version of it, I think this is just a bad desktop design. Like, let's go to an AMP page, for example. Let's go to an AMP. I think the user interface here just lacks any basic structuring, meaning that you make it really clear and apparent at the first glance what's important, what's less important. For example, if we take a look at this Ampeg amp over here, drive, bass, mid, frequency, treble, and channel volume and master volume are important. Sag, hum, ripple, bias, and bias X are controls that 99.9% of users will never ever tweak, yet they are being presented to us as equally important. Color label them, allow us to hide them, something like that at least. I mean, the amps in GarageBand that comes free with every Mac, everything looks better than this. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and for someone who works in this guitar recording space a lot, I think the user interface design with HX Edit is just bad. The fourth thing that I love about the HX Stomp is the fact that you can use it as an audio interface, which is actually kind of crazy when you think about all of the things this unit already does. Setting it up was easy, just plug in your USB cable here and into your computer obviously as well, and it shows up in Logic right away. You can select it as an output device as well, meaning you can actually monitor yourself through headphone out over here as well, which is really cool. It allows you to record both dual mono or stereo depending on how you route it here in the HX Stomp itself. And this allows you not only to record, let's say, like stereo ping pong delays if you record your guitar in stereo, but you can also do dry wet recording, meaning that you can have like one signal path going with amp modeling and stuff like that and record the second one DI, or just do the classic bass recording thing where you basically record both clean and the affected, maybe distorted bass signal and blend them to your liking in a mix. And it's not just guitar or bass, you can record pretty much anything you can plug into the device. It's an actual real audio interface. That actually brings me to the fourth point I don't like about the HX Stomp, and that is the lag when using the USB out for recording, meaning that when I'm recording using the USB out into my computer, when I hit a note on my guitar, for example, there's a slight delay between me hitting the note and actually hearing the note. And I've noticed that the more you start adding blocks into this thing, like more effects, pedals, whatever, the lag just gets worse. I don't think the lag is a deal breaker, you can get used to it and record just fine, but it does affect the feel. I should also mention that when I go from the output of the HX Stomp into my audio interface over there, I don't notice the same lag no matter how many effects I throw into the signal chain. So yeah, it has something to do with the USB out. The fifth thing that I love about HX Stomp is the fact that you can download sounds made by others. Personally, I really love the concept of being able to download sounds made by professional musicians. It's something that I would have loved to be able to do as a kid. Play with the sounds made by my guitar heroes, that would have been awesome. And for example, in my case, the preset you see over here is a bass guitar preset made by my friend Ville, who is a really good bass player, and he knows how to dial in sounds, and he sent me a few presets to use in my studio, and I think that's a really cool thing to be able to do. I feel there's a pretty good established market for the preset thing. You can get pretty much any kind of sounds for just few bucks, and it's just a killer thing for cover band musicians, or if you're just starting out and want to learn how to create different sounds, buy few presets and kind of dissect what makes them sound the way they do, and that's a great way to learn to create your own sounds as well. And the fifth thing that I don't like about the Helix Stomp and the Helix range in general is the fact that you can download sounds made by others, and unfortunately this also means that everybody uses exactly the same presets and the same guitar sounds. I'm looking at you worship musicians all over the world. Even though I think it's cool to be able to download the sounds, I also feel that a lot of people don't take the time to dive into those sounds and figure out what makes them sound the way they are, to learn how to create your own things. And a lot of people are also doing the thing where they just download the sound and use it as it is without putting it into a context of like, why was this sound created the way it is? Does it actually work with my 3-piece band when this thing was designed for like a huge worship band with ambient synths and everything going on, and I'm using it in my 3-piece and it might sound kind of silly in that context. Stuff like that. I just feel a lot of kids are downloading the presets and using them as they are without ever really learning how to actually adjust your sound to fit the band context you're in. So those were the 5 things I like and don't like about the Helix Stomp. Overall, I'm still happy that I got the unit. I especially like kind of integrating it into my pedal board, using this as a multi-effects unit. That's where I think it really shines, for me at least. And I also like the ability to use it as an audio interface. I think that thing is a killer feature. Hopefully this video helped you to decide whether you want to go for the Helix Stomp or not, or whether you maybe want to go for a bigger Helix unit instead. And again, if you want to get into recording, check out my free home studio course by following the link down below. And if you enjoyed the content and want to see more in the future, please hit the subscribe button as well. But that's it for now. Thank you for watching. I shall see you next time.